All right, guys, we're back with some more Run 8 action. I've got a good one for you today. We're in beautiful Needles, California. It's like 5 something in the morning. Let's see, what is it? 5:30 in the morning. And Spur's been kind of busy because I've been working on some new custom trains, trying to set up the route a little better as far as like the spawns and things like that. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. We'll do left shift F2. We'll go to the AI trains menu, go to AI traffic generation, go to spawn points. We're going to go down to it's my spawn point. This may be standard for everyone, I can't remember, but BNSF Needles main one is the one that I've created. We're going to look at train types. Basically what I've done is I've gone in and eliminated everything, and now any train that spawns here is a save train based on a real life train that I've actually laid eyes on via YouTube, right, and custom made these trains. So after we go to save train, let's go to train symbols. So this is some of the ones that I've got spawning here right now. It's not a lot, but it's a few. It's a start, right? This actually is quite time consuming to do this. We got the Q, Mimric, the S, let's see, this is DFW. What is that place called? I can't think of it off the top of my head. To Oakland. The Gal Pit Unit Steel Train, SBL to KLF. That is going to be Somerville, Texas to Klamath Falls Unit Ballast Train. It ran from time to time. Valric is going to be Vaughn, New Mexico to Richmond, California vehicle train. Willow Springs, the North Bay is going to be the train we're going to be running today, and it's going to be an absolute little rocket. Then we also got the Willow Springs to Stockton Z train that we're going to be working to. So yeah, trying to get these in. Let's go ahead and load in the Somerville to Klamath Falls. There we go. Spawn train. Let's get him spawned in. So, yeah, this is going to be a loaded ballast train. Pretty cool, right? I think it's a 2x2 configuration. Now, it's not 100% exact. I've had to, work within the confines of the game, which I always say, we don't always have, one-to-one representations of every locomotive in car and game or in the real world, unfortunately, but maybe one of these days. So let's see about spawning our train into. So let's go to the F1 menu this time. Now this is all the trains that I've done. I've actually done quite a bit, but they're kind of scattered out around the system. Some are up in Fresno, some are I've got some that spawn at Wasco, this empty Wasco train. We're going to do the Willow Springs to North Bay Z9, and this thing is an absolute rocket. Let's load it into the consist editor, and let's place it right here. Come on, drop down. There you go. Place him right there. Let's get him started up. There you go. Nice. This thing is like 3,200 feet long. Yeah, let's see. 3270 on the length of 2,700 tons, almost 2,800 tons, 6.6 HPT, and 35 loads, 2 empties. This is based off a video. I watched a YouTube video of this train. It was up somewhere north of Fresno, I think, where they videoed it, and so I tried to recreate it as at least for like platform to platform. So it's roughly the same. It's not 100% exact, but it's roughly the same, right? It's in the ballpark. Let's go ahead and cut out the DB on that guy. Let's get everything set on the rail driver. There we go. So that's cut out. We're running with the 6.6. This is the Z9. This thing's got to go, right? Let's get auto going so we can get some of these trains moving. So he's going to get this guy out of here. Let's go up a little bit and let's spawn another one in. Let's go up to Goffs right here, and let's spawn in the Stochi. That would be a good... No, actually, no. Let's not do that. Let's do the what is this? Guck to Council Bluffs. It's one of the empty One of the empty grain trains. Okay, let's place him right there. Nice. Let's make him AI. Sweet. This is this guy. I think he's like 100 cars, give or take. Nothing too crazy. Just 2x0 for this guy. Let's go on down. Let's go to Danby. I guess we'll go to Danby. We'll put this other. We'll put one more in. Kind of make it a little bit interesting. Let's do the now. Let's do the Stochi. Load in a consist editor. Place train. Come on. Why are you being so finicky? There we go. AI recrew. And we should be good. Yeah, this is the Stochi. Another one based off a real life video as best as I can get it. That's the main thing I'm trying to stress. You can't do 100% accurate recreation of these trains because we don't have everything in game, right? So we try to get it as close as we can. We try to substitute, you know, that sort of thing. All right, they're all ready to go. Let's go back to Needles. And we'll see about hopping on our train. Left control F11 to get in the cab. Gotta scoot the seat up. That's the one thing I say about the Dash 9s. The default seat position is way too far back. Like, honestly, the engineers should be up against this control. Like, they lean up on it all the time, right? You prop your elbow up on it, just kind of sit there and hang out. Let's release parking brake. We don't need to, yeah, we don't need that. Let's do the window. There we go. That's all good. We didn't do the dates on these. There's a way you could get these trains to spawn with the dates automatically. I just can't remember how to do that. How do you set that up, guys? If someone knows, leave a comment down below and let me know how do you get your system date to appear for the symbol. I'm almost positive there's a way to do it. I'm not 100%, but I think there's a way to do that. Okay, let's go ahead and talk to dispatcher. Now, this isn't 100% realistic. I really feel like they probably would have held this Somerville or this Klamath Falls train for the Z9. You know, they would have held him and let the Z9 get out of here first. But we're doing it opposite to keep it a little bit interesting, right? Run on a little color, that sort of thing. All right, reverse or forward. We don't have any big brake. No big brake. We don't need it. All right, there's our DPU. No, we don't need 3. We need 2. Come on, finicky. Finicky rail driver, right? There we go. Nice, beautiful morning. Let's unfreeze the time. Oh man, that was quick. Okay, we'll go with it. I guess it's running off system time is what it is, right? Yeah. Maybe not. I don't know. I don't know why I changed so much. This kind of, you know what? We'll go with it. It's good enough. It's fine. There, we can try to run a little bit before we hit that approach up here. Needles isn't too bad. Under the right circumstances, this sub can be a lot of fun. You know, it just depends on the traffic, right? If it's just, you know, you solo out there and no one else, it gets a little boring. You know, just double main, CTC, like, there's just nothing going on, right? Out in the desert. But when you're meeting, you know, an appropriate amount of trains, it can be a lot of fun. Absolutely. All right, so we'll just follow this guy around. It's going to take a minute because we're going to have to wait on lights and all that stuff. I don't think Otto is going to be able to run us on that other main. No, it doesn't look like it, right? Otto's half a brain cell can only handle the one main. You can't run you against the grain. you can't run you against traffic. I mean, really, there is no against traffic when it's two main CTC. Either way is good, but he says 1107 switches line for another train right now. Okay, yeah, we totally get that. 1.4% grade here, so it's pretty legit. So yeah, I've been working a lot on this here and there, trying to make some trains, going back to YouTube, looking at these videos, going on train orders and looking. Someone posted a nice list from a few years back. I think it was from 2020. It was like a week's worth of trains over Tehachapi. The symbols, what ran every single day, the symbols of that sort of thing, you know. So I took that list and I picked symbols out of it's only for Tehachapi, but for the most part went, you know, at least the intermodal stuff and the unit stuff, what went over Tehachapi went over Needles as well too, you know. So then, you know, I looked those symbols up on YouTube and try to create something, you know, kind of similar. And this is where we're at, so it's pretty good. I like it a lot. I want to go back and start hitting up all the spawn points. So the spawn points for my setup would be like Alameda corridor, definitely for the stack trains. Hobart for Z trains. San Diego, right? San Diego for the San Diego trains coming off that way. What else? I think that's pretty much it. Then Needles and then Fresno. So that gets all the ends, right? I pretty much eliminated all the middle spawn points for the most part, and just have the ends. There's our grain, or a grain train, our ballast train. May as well be a grain train, as slow as he's going to be. What is his HPT? I'm kind of curious. 2.4? Oof. Yeah, he might could make it over Tehachapi with that, right? That's kind of borderline to me. Is it 2.2 is the minimum, maybe something like that? So yeah, I guess he can make it. This guy is 3, not bad. Even with just 2 engines on the head end. Stochi's 3, not bad too, so yeah, pretty good. My rail driver seems extra finicky. Is probably just because I'm out of practice with it. Like you kind of gotta get a feel for where the notches are at on it. It's definitely, I enjoy it. It's definitely my biggest complaint about the rail driver though, is just not being able to hit those notches accurately when you need them. All right, so we're about to ease up here and stop. This guy doesn't have to get all the way by Ibis. He just has to get past the next intermediate, and then we can kind of start running that way. Like I said, totally not realistic. They would have held that guy. I feel like, never say never, but I feel like they would have held the ballast train and let the Z9 go first. But it's my railroad. We'll run it how we want. I like running on color. Color is a good way to kind of keep things interesting. Such a good, easy train. Like I said, this thing's a little rocket. Easy to start, easy to stop. Nothing but UPS. That was another thing that kind of surprised me about the video that I watched on YouTube of this particular train that I recreated. Nothing but UPS containers and trailers on it. It's not always like that. I watched other videos where it had a lot of domestic stuff too, and it was pretty sizable. So I don't know what was going on this day that caused them to only have a little bit of UPS, but let's ease around up here. Nice easy stop, 1.5% grade, but this thing is so light. We got four big jacks on the head end, so we don't need the big brake. We can totally use the independent, the little brake. .1107, proceed on signal indication. All right. Ooh, we get a light. All right, let's go ahead and see about stopping right here. Be good. There we go. The main thing, like in this instance, stopping like this, you don't want to just like jam on the independent and have all that slack run in on you and then stop and your head end's holding and then it rolls back the other way. You could potentially get a knuckle that way. I don't know if you could in game, but all right, so we'll hang out here a bit and we'll wait on light. Hopefully it won't be too terribly long. It's a nice view of our ballast train climbing out of town. Off in the distance there. That's pretty cool. That's a good shot. I like it with the lighting and everything too. All right, there's this bottom go by the intermediate. So we should be getting a light. Let's transport back to our train. Let's go transport train. Hop into cab. There we go. There's our light. Nice. Let's scooch our seat up a little bit. Yeah, it's way too far back. Wait, it should be like up here. Should be up here. All right, so let's blast off. Ease out the independent. Watch the ground. Let's hit a little sand. Sweet. Got her moving pretty easy. Hopefully we'll be able to do a little running now. Like I said, we're going to be on color. I think if this is similar to CSX rules, I thought once you knock down approach, you have to like begin a reduction to 30 mile an hour, right? So technically we can only do like 30 maybe. Something like that. He's most definitely not going to be doing 30 up to golfs. So if you're not familiar with the needles is part of the base game, right? You get this with the base, and when you buy the game, this is one of the routes that come with it. Needles to Barstow, and then you have Barstow to Bakersfield over to Hatchby. But starting out in Needles, it's a pretty good climb all the way up to Golfs, which is the summit. There, we don't need that sand anymore. Yeah, Needles to Golfs. Katie's to Golfs is going to be the other direction. So Golfs is going to be the top of the grade. So it'll be downhill all the way to Katie's once we pass Goffs, and then I think the next grade picks up at Siberia to Ashhill. Maybe I think there's one going into Pisgah. So I'm kind of hoping he knocks down the next intermediate by the time we hit this intermediate, and then we just kind of run, but... we should be meeting that empty grain train at some point. Yeah, he's still a little ways out, actually. Yeah, he hasn't even hit Ibis yet. I see Otto spawned in another one of our trains, Z Will Springs North Bay 9. Yeah, if I could get it to default the date on there, it wouldn't do that then, because I think the way the system is set up is that it only spawns one symbol for that particular day. So, but I can't remember how you set the symbols up to default the date in for it, right? Like, what are you supposed to put in there to get it to do it? If it does do that, I thought it did, but I'm not 100% certain on that. Really, what I would love to see is a lineup in game. So basically, you could go in day by day and say, "Hey, this list of trains spawn on this particular day, right? Today's the 17th. So for the 17th, we got these trains. Some of them are going to be dailies. You know, they run every single day. Some of them once in a while, some once in a blue moon, that sort of thing. So, you know, you may see your regulars on the 17th, and then on the lineup for the 18th, you may see your regulars plus a few extras like unit trains and stuff like that. All right, I see our light up there. It's currently a stop. Now this is a permissive signal. It's not an absolute. So we can go by it with it showing a stop, and it should have a G plate, which means we don't even have to stop and go, which, I mean, a lot of you guys tell me they eliminated the stop and go anyway on permit, you know, like non-G plate permissive signals. So we're running it like it was back in the day when you had to do that. We're just going to try to ease up here. See if we can get a light. I don't really want to take it. I don't want to take that. There we go. We got our light. I would just as soon stop and wait for it to get a more favorable aspect than to knock it down. And we did that some in real life. I worked with some engineers that did that in real life. If you come around to a permissive signal and you had a restricting, then you could go by it, but we wouldn't. We would stop and wait and wait for at least an approach. Because it just sucks. It just sucks running restricted speed for a couple miles. And that's basically what you have to do if you knock that signal down. So that worked out pretty good. Amps are pretty low, so we just go right to 6. We can get straight to business on this thing. Go ahead and wipe her A for a bit. All right, approach. Now this signal isn't accurate. I've noticed this before. It's got the G plate and the number plate. Yeah, that wasn't, at least for us, that wasn't a thing. It's either a G plate or a number plate, both signifying that it was a permissive signal that you could go by it if it was showing red. You could absolutely do that, but I never, ever saw a signal that had both. They had one or the other, but not both. So, all right, so we went by, and I don't have the rules in front of me. I don't know what their particular... I think I know what it says, but I'm not 100% sure. But I think ours said something about go by an approach, prepare to stop at the next signal. Trains, something to the effect of trains exceeding 30 mile an hour must begin an immediate reduction to 30 or something like that. And that would, and I remember talking about this specifically with engineers, what constituted an immediate reduction. And I know this was kind of a gray area, because some engineers, like, they wouldn't do anything because they said, okay, we went by that approach there and we're going uphill. If I stay in this throttle setting, she's going to start slowing down on her own. Let's say we need number 7. So, you know, like, she's slowing down a little bit. See, yeah, 0.8 to 0.7 to 0.6. So that was kind of a gray area. I think they were kind of harping on a little bit way back in the day. Like, some railroad officials are saying, well, you need to actually, like, immediately slow to 30. And, you know, some engineers interpreted it as like, well, you know, I don't necessarily have to. So just kind of let the train go. Let it do its thing, and eventually it's going to slow down to 30. See, we're almost there now. We didn't really do anything, right? We came out 2 notches and we went by the signal. We didn't have to do anything else, so. I was wanting to see, yeah, there's our next signal right there, actually. I didn't realize it's so close. The unfortunate part about not creeping up to a signal like this is the fact that we may have to actually wait. So it's going to be another permissive. Oh yeah, she slows down quick on this 1.4. Yeah, we'll just continue to creep up here, see if we can get another light. We won't take it. Once again, I think it's another one of the G plate. Yeah, it's the double, the G and the numbers. So we don't have to stop and go. We can just go. But we're not going to do that. We're going to wait for more favorable. I can remember one engineer that I worked with in real life absolutely would not. There we go. There's our light. He would not take, like, I don't ever remember taking a restricting. I absolutely remember sitting and waiting with him. Like, he just, and I get it. Like I said, no one wants to run restricted speed for a mile or two, you know, looking out. You know, it's a good way to set yourself up to get in trouble really easy. You know, it's really easy for them, you know, to banner test you or do something. There's lots of opportunity for that. So why subject yourself to that, you know? Just wait for a better signal. All right, let's give her a little sand. The ones that were really kind of tricky to me were the ones that a dispatcher would talk you by an absolute signal for no apparent reason for it being red. Like, you know, a lot of times it would just be a signal failure, you know. You just can't get you a light at this absolute, so he's got to talk you by it. But like, if it, you kind of got a vibe from it sometimes, you know. Like, they would just randomly talk you by, like, oh, we can't get a light here. Gonna talk you by. They wouldn't really say much about it. And that's when your spidey senses kind of went off a little bit and be like, am I fixing to get better tested? Because, you know, that's a good way to do it. All right, let's go under I-40 here. Man, I would love to see a revamp of this route. I-40, this stretch, I've looked at it on Google Earth. There's like tons of billboards through here going into Needles. Tons and tons of billboards and signs for I-40 through here. And signs, I think, really kind of just help place you in the world. They're awesome to have in game. So I'd love to see that. Really, like, see I-40 completed because it kind of runs along with the route. Just give you a little something to look at out in the distance, you know, like, to give you a sense that there's a world out there beyond where you're at. Oh, there's our X-Train. Nice. The Guck is CBL. This is Guck Guernsey? Is that? I'm not really sure. Maybe to count something Council Bluffs. Feel that sand. We don't need that. Nice. No, I had Ace. Ace second out. Pretty cool train. Not bad. Like, this is a decent, sizable train for 3 HPT and just 2 engines. So if you want a cool train to run over to Hatchby and Needles and only have 2 engines, this is one you could do it with. Like, there's kind of a coolness factor to it. Like, look at me, I only got 2 units and we're owning this like a boss. All right, let's hop over to the other side here so you see. We got a light up here. Yeah, we do. All right, X train looks good. Marker's working.
Detector milepost 588.4. Main 2. Ambient temperature 72 degrees.
That was pretty cool. Scooch on up back in our spot here. That might be a little bit much, right? You just, like, I don't know. I remember seeing engineers just like leaned all up on this console here, and it just seems like we're way, like, there's the edge of the seat. Yeah, I would think this would be about right, like leaning up on it like that. This is easy peasy with this train. It's 6 HPT and only 2,700 tons. This would be a pain with a sizable train. Like, honestly, with a really heavy tonnage sizable train is low HPT, I would go ahead and knock the signal down and take it and just run restricted versus stopping, you know? That way it gives you a little time to separate and get apart from each other. Otherwise, like, you could take your approach and just run really slow, like 15, you know, do restricted after you take the approach, but you're not running owner restricted. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, just kind of creep along, because it would suck, like, stopping and going so much on a heavy sizable train. I don't think I would be doing this. We've got the luxury of doing that with this little short, you know, 6.6 HPT train. Oh yeah, he hadn't even made it by Ibis yet. It's gonna be a long trip. It's gonna be a long trip, guys. Otto is not going to run us on that other main. No, I did not want to do that. I just wanted to stay in one. There we go. Yeah, we're just trying to creep around up here. Give it time. This one is a G plate as well. There we go. Got our light. Let's go. All right, I think this time we're just going to kind of poke a little bit. We're not even going to do 30. We're going to try to get some separation. I don't know what that dude is doing going up grade. No, yeah, it doesn't tell the tonnage, unfortunately. 2.4 HPT. Yeah, we out HPT him by a lot. I always feel like early morning, late evening looks the best. I still would love to see some backdate DLC for this route. Backdate it to the 80s, make it D251 running. It'd be the best. It really would. If this thing was backdated to, I guess they took the D251 out. They changed it to 2 main CTC in the early 2000s, I guess, maybe 04 or something like that. But when it was D251, looking at the dispatcher screen, all you would have is CTC to Ibis. You would have the Ibis crossover, and that would be it. If you wanted the Needles dispatcher screen, it would be to Ibis. All this, there wouldn't be anything else. All that would be track warrant. So this D251 directional running with track warrants. So and it was D251 all the way from Ibis to Daggett. So basically what the dispatcher would do is they'd give them a blanket track warrant from Ibis to Daggett, if I remember this correctly. And then they would just run on signals, right? The ABS signals. And so they, there was no crossovers, no powered crossovers, no powered sidings. It was just ABS signals, right? Directional running. Running against the flow of traffic, like running on the other main over here would have been 49 mile an hour max. Running with the flow would be up to 70. It's all dependent on your train, right? It had these sidings. It had actually more sidings than this. It had more than, and like, there's a bunch of them. What they would do is they would try to fleet the trains, right? So they would hold all the slower trains out and then like fleet the Z trains together and then let the other trains go, that sort of thing. If they had to do an overtake, the dispatcher would just tell them to take a siding at wherever, clear up, and as soon as they made their meet for whatever engine number, then they could come out behind it and go. They would hand throw. The sidings were hand throw. So let's say this siding up here at Golfs would be a hand throw. So if he told me, he wouldn't tell me, but because we're a Z9. But let's say we're on some kind of unit train, a grain train. He'd be like, take a siding at Golfs to meet the BNSF 1102, right? And just paraphrasing it. And you would go up there to Golfs and you would line yourself in. And that was the really sucky part. You'd line yourself in, the train would have to clear up, and then you'd have to return the switch to normal and walk back to the head end. It was much better running D251 with a caboose than it was just a head crew, right? Like, that's when things started to go south. But you'd line yourself into Golfs, and you'd wait for your meet for the guy to run around you. And then as soon as he got by, on the exit end, the siding would be a spring switch, and it would have a little signal, a little dwarf, and the dwarf would only show approach or stop. So as soon as you got an approach, you could take that spring switch and you could go on about your business. You could come out and go behind them. But it was really super interesting running. And like I said, there were no crossovers. There were crossovers, but there were no powered crossovers. So all the crossovers on D251 were trailing points. They did that for a reason. They said it was cheaper to maintain it wasn't as much wear and tear on a trailing point switch than a facing point. So all the crossovers were trailing point. They're 10 mile an hour hand throws. So if they decided to cross you over to run against traffic, you would have to pull high from the crossover, right? You'd pull high. Someone behind you would line the crossover, and then you would have to back through it at 10 mile an hour. All the crossovers were 10 mile an hour crossovers. You would back through it, and then the dispatcher, I'm sure he'd give you some kind of track warrant to do that, and then he would give you instructions on where you need to run to and where you can cross back over at, and it was the same thing. So, you know, it was pretty interesting how they did it. I think it would be a super cool type of running to have in game. Something different from the usual. You know, it's like 2 main track CTC is easy peasy. That's all about, you know, convenience and accommodating higher traffic loads, you know. So I mean, anything that is convenient is going to be easier. All right, we'll take this next signal. We'll probably run a little bit further, then we'll see about calling it.
BNSF detector, milepost 593.1, main 1, ambient temperature 69.
You see, we got a little distance there. There we go. So we're making our reduction to 30 mile an hour. Is it like, is it immediate? No, like we're not grabbing the air, but I mean, we're doing something to slow the train down to 30. That was the whole argument. I definitely remember that argument, at least for us back in the day. I think they're kind of harping on that. Like, what constituted an immediate reduction to 30? Does that mean come out of the throttle and grab the brakes? Grab the brakes, just notch out of the throttle a notch or two? You know, like, you know, it's highly subjective to the engineer. You know, like, Coming out one notch may be to them maybe an immediate reduction to 30. You're starting to slow down, like you're initiating the immediate reduction to 30. You may not immediately be getting to 30, but you're initiating it. Come out again. Oh, we got our 30. Yeah, up here at Ibis, the big curve on the low grade line. So the line splits up here at Ibis, right? Splits at Ibis. You go off to the right. That big loop that goes around is a lot less of a grade than going the other way, which is more straight and direct. I think it's like 1.8 if you go the other way. Same way up here in Siberia, between Siberia and Ashhill. You know, they split. They split off. Have your low grade and your high grade. It was pretty nice out here. I bumped the vegetation up. I had it low for some reason. I don't know why. The veg density, right? You can see it over here under performance. Yeah, veg density. There we go. All right, we drop below 30. I think that light may be around this curve. I don't know it well at all. Yeah, there it is. All right, it hadn't cleared up for shit. If you guys are interested in the Needles Pintrex on their channel on YouTube, uploaded a video rail fanning the Needles back in like 1992 during the Santa Fe days. I highly recommend it. If you want to get a feel for what it was like in real life, absolutely check that video out. It's awesome. Let's see, we'll ease up here again. Look like traffic wise, yeah, Stochi's a good ways out. Somerville, Klamath Falls, he's still probably struggling along. He's a 5. It's kind of, and that's based off the actual symbol. He's a 5. That's kind of interesting. So I mean, he's a lot hotter than a lot of the manifest trains are like 1s. So he's kind of a hot train. Believe it or not, he's not like super hot, but I guess middle of the road, right? 1 being the least hot, 9 being the hottest. All right, so this is Ibis. You can see where the main split, right? High grade going this way, low grade looping way out over here, making a big loop and back around. So yeah, if this was D251 running back in the day, this is where they would pick that up at. I think it'd be cool having a dispatcher screen where it's just like the Ibis and then everything else, like they just run on the signals. There's nothing else, right? It'd be Ibis and then your board would pick back up its Daggett, which I think would honestly be another dispatcher at that point. A lot of the signals back then were, I think a large majority were searchlights. I think they had some R2s as well. It's a mix. No cantilevers. I think the only cantilever between Needles and Barstow was at Daggett, right? I think there was the one cantilever there, one or two cantilevers there. I think everything else is just mass mounted, regular old, you know, regular old signals, searchlights, and R2s. All right, guys, we've been at this about 50 minutes. Time flies by when you have fun. We just, yeah, we got our light, but I think this is probably a good point to stop right here. So we'll do that. We'll just stop. And maybe we'll see about picking up with another episode. If you guys enjoyed it, leave me a comment down below. Let me know if you want to continue with this thing. It is a fun little train. Man, this thing is a rocket. She is so easy. She really just is. She is so freaking easy. There we go. We'll just stop right here. Notch out the throttle. There we go. 1.4% grade. But like I said, she may be rolling back a little bit on the bottom. Yes, she is. You see. So slack kind of ran in a little bit, and then she kind of rolled back. But locomotive brakes are holding it just fine. We could go ahead and set them up since we're stopping here. We'll do that. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this one. If you enjoyed, be sure to hit that like. Like I said, leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Love all of you, and we'll catch you next time. Peace.
No, big cat, no. Stop.